Ooh-wee! Gonna be another hot one today. You might not know this, but Europeans don't have any AC.
What?
And it gets hot here too. I mean, I would say we have even more 90 to 100 degree days Fahrenheit here in southern Bavaria than we do in the Midwest where I come from. How do they deal with this hot heat without having AC to rely on? Hello and Grüß Squad, welcome back to my channel. I am Tom, an American guy living in southern Bavaria since 2005. Today we're going to talk about some cool concepts for dealing with the heat in Europe. So, how in the heck do people in Germany and in Europe as a whole deal with the summer heat? I mean, in Italy, for example, and in Spain, it gets even hotter than in Germany. So, let's talk about it. The first way to deal with the heat is just deal with it. I suspect this is what people have been doing for hundreds, thousands of years before us. They didn't have electricity. Obviously, they just had to deal with the heat. So, you sweat your nuts off, but that's how it goes. Eventually, the summer ends and the fall comes. The second way to deal with the heat is what my wife does. She lowers all the shutters in the morning after airing out the whole house. The shutters stay closed all day long to stop the sun from coming into the house as this greenhouse effect. Then in the evening, once the sun goes down, she opens the shutters again and lets the house air out a bit. This does keep the house a bit cooler, but the air is stuffy during the day. And the big disadvantage is it's dark in the house during the day. So you have to turn the lights on, you end up spending electricity, and that is a shame to have to turn the lights on inside when you have the beautiful sun outside. The third way to deal with the heat is to sequester yourself in the basement. This is what I often do if I have a couple of hours of work to do. I'll go down in the basement, enjoy the nice cool temperature down there, and then come back upstairs later. Not everybody has this luxury. Not everybody has a rental house or an owned house to live in. In fact, in a lot of the big cities in Germany and in Europe, many of the people live in apartment buildings. Not to mention, spending time in the basement where it's dark and where you don't have access to the natural sunlight, that sucks, especially when the weather is beautiful. You prefer to be able to get some vitamin D, enjoy the sun, and in the basement, it's just dark. And the fourth way is really the most clever way, and this has to do with building in Germany and how the Germans are becoming extremely innovative in how they build. So there is this entity in Germany called the KfW, the Kreditanstalt for Wiederaufbau, KfW for short. And what that is it's a development bank that started after World War II to help people rebuild. And this bank these days supports people in building houses which are extremely efficient. They have the KfW 55, the KfW 40, and the KfW 40 Plus. These standards define how little energy a house uses in comparison to the standard way of building. It has mainly to do with insulation, which keeps the heat in the winter and keeps the houses cooler in the summer. And he who has one of these houses has less heat to deal with. Of course, additionally, building with fewer windows and smaller windows is also going to help keep the house cooler by avoiding the greenhouse effect. Our house has 1 million windows and they're huge, so that does not help us at all. But we're moving soon. So let's take a closer look at these houses, because that's a really interesting topic. KfW 55 means that's a house that uses only 55% of the energy of a standard way of building a house. And what's nice about this KfW 55 standard is that the government will subsidize this. Currently, if you build a house or an apartment with this KfW 55 standard, you get 18,000 euros back after proving that you built in that fashion. The next one is the KfW 40, also known as the passive house. And these use so little energy that in the winter time they use little to no energy to heat the house. Because the KFA40 houses are built insulated so well, and because they reuse the heat inside the house, there's hardly any energy use in the wintertime. And how they do this is they reuse heat sources such as household appliances and the people themselves. Recirculate the warm air into the house, and that's how they're so efficient. Finally, you have the KFA 40 Plus house. These houses are even more efficient in that they produce more energy than they actually consume. This is generally through the use of solar panels. And I think that is such a cool thing to have a house that is so efficient you don't hardly need to heat in the wintertime, and you produce even more energy than you consume, so you can sell that electricity back to the grid. So these are the 4 ways that I see Germans and probably most Europeans dealing with the heat. Either you sweat your nuts off, or you put the shutters down all day long, or sequester yourself to the basement, or build more efficiently. Let me know, how do you guys actually deal with the heat in Europe? Which country do you come from? How hot does it get? And what tricks do you have for dealing with the heat? I'd also like to give a big shout out to a few new subscribers. We've got Ollie S. Thompson and Jojo977 Fluffer Muffin and Scott Roth. Thanks so much for subscribing and joining the channel. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to like if you did like this video. And I'll see you in the next one. Pfiat euch and ciao.